What's up, Joe?
Hey Doug,
Hey, Joe.
how are you, man?
I'm making it. What you know good?
I'm missing the tennis game tonight because it's long agenda.
I know it. You ought to know better. You're
I
split.
didn't I didn't schedule it.
Can't, tell them you can't help them. I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Well, I just said I'm not going to rush myself, and I need to be
Yeah,
here, and
yeah.
it's okay. I'll play. I'll
You're,
play Thursday night. You playing
we,
any?
no, I haven't. I'm a little afraid of this COVID. I just don't.
Really?
Oh, I'm being silly about it, maybe. Uh, so I'll get back. My knee. I just need to get. I need to get in shape again, Joe. I'm doing a little walking, and uh, I don't know. My knees are kind of so arthritic. I just get. I don't know. Man, that might be trouble to get back. I don't know.
Well, you know what doctors say. Stop. Don't keep moving. Just keep
Yeah,
moving.
yeah, exactly. My buddy Jim Delanna says he sees you out there all the time. That's great.
He's out there early, and he hits on a regular basis.
Yeah,
I hit with him one time.
he's swing. Well, Jim has got. He and I were doubles partners for years in those old Metro League tournaments. He played at Dartmouth. He's got a nice game.
Yeah, he does.
Got a good stroke, pretty strokes.
Yeah, I enjoy watching him and try to get on his schedule, but he's got regulars he plays with.
Yeah, he'd be a great guy to hit with because he's so steady. He hits a real steady, no spin ball, almost like a pro. He's very steady.
It's a flat ball, but it goes over that net.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm gonna text my wife real quick and tell her where I am.
Are you in your office?
I'm in downtown. I'm back
Oh,
down.
are you still downtown? Okay.
Yeah, we mask up. It's easy enough down here. I tell you the truth. As a lawyer, I know you remember this. We didn't have this working at home situation. I sort of like the familiar business office surroundings to keep my concentration. And I don't know, being at home is too easy for me to just go out on the porch and have a glass of iced tea and watch.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I would do what I have to do, but I don't work well from home either, and I don't work. I'm reluctant to go to the gym, and so I don't work out at home
Yeah,
as well, and it's driving me crazy. Um,
yeah,
but
we
I don't
we
think
were.
we have any problem on the tennis court. I really don't.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I've been playing for.
Handling the balls is not that big a deal.
I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
if you only time I get a little nervous. We have a clinic on Saturday mornings. Hey Pete, Saturday mornings, and there's 8 guys on the court, and I just try to keep my distance. It's a little hard at
Yeah.
times. How you doing, Pete?
Okay, I think I got it now. All right, I'm doing well.
Good,
How
good.
about uh, how about you?
Yeah, I was just talking to Doug about tennis. It's been my savior, and not being able to. I mean, just getting outside is huge. Are you walking or getting outside any?
Me? Yeah, I went to the Y this morning, walked to the Y,
You
spent
did?
about an hour there, walked home.
How do you feel about the going to the Green Hills Y?
It's never been safer. They give you a bottle of uh, disinfectant when you walk in and a rag, and everybody's supposed to wipe down their machine before they use it and wipe it down after they use it. So you got a double dose there. Um, and everybody's social distancing. You don't have to wear your mask in and wear your mask in the common areas, but you don't have to wear it in the wake room. So
Well, I'll give it.
I'm surprised you can't tell I've been working out.
Oh, what's
Yeah.
going because it's from your neck up. I don't see your whole body.
Strange.
Well,
Don't
that's
want
not bad.
to.
That's not a bad thing.
I'm going to go then. Now, hearing you say that is encouraging because I just have not been going.
Yeah. Well, I'm going. I just started back. I went a month ago and decided I wouldn't go until things calmed down a little bit. I've talked to a lot of friends that have been going to Hawaii, and they said it's just the safest it's ever been, and they're right. They're right. It's, you know, you just use your head, and of course, you know, I've been, since I'm retired, my life really hadn't changed that much.
Well, did you not get out much before all this happened? I mean, I'm still home all the time. It's just unusual for me.
Well, no, Laura loves to cook, so we rarely go out. You know, I just as soon eat at home, and you know, so we traveled quite a bit, which we're not doing now. But as far as going out to eat or bars or, you know, we go to the lake every weekend during the summer. So
That's
that's kind of
nice.
our
That's
home away
nice.
from home. Yeah.
Hello, Lyle.
How y'all doing?
Doing well, doing
Good.
well.
Good.
Are you going to do your preamble today or not?
I don't think so. I think everybody's aware of the governor's order. So I think we're good.
Okay. So board members here today, we've got Pete, Haley's on, Haley's here, and that's it.
We're only going to have 4, I believe.
Chris is supposed to be here. Cardio.
Well, we got to wait, but we got 3 minutes anyhow.
Hey, Skipper, I want to congratulate you on getting into the 21st century and getting on Zoom here today.
That law.
Good job.
Oh, Lord.
So while we're waiting on Chris and whoever else is joining, I just want to remind everybody, if you're not a board member, if you would mute yourself until it's your turn to speak, please.
Hello, Haley.
Hello, how are you? I had to
We're
unmute.
fine. We're fine. The other night, we were out walking, and you guys had a party. It seemed like you were just having the biggest time laughing late one night.
That was definitely my teenager.
Oh.
It was not me. I have not laughed since March, I don't think, but she has had a great time. How late was it? I hope.
Oh, I'm not late. 10 o'clock. You know, it was,
I'm like, this has been a long summer, but
no, you need to laugh. You definitely.
okay. Well,
laugh.
I'll join them next time.
Does anybody have a good joke they want to tell Haley so she'll laugh? No, I'm just kidding. There you go.
Hey, hi, Haley. It's Brian Anderson.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, wonderful. Good to see you.
It's
Now,
Chris.
what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you on this agenda?
My next door neighbor wants to build a pool and change the grade. So
Gotcha.
Chris is
Well,
here.
hi.
I think we're ready to start, Pete, Lyle.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to remind everybody again, if you would keep yourself muted unless you're a board member, please. And I'm not going to do the preamble because I think we all are aware of the governor's order that we can do teleconferencing. So,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if you would take it away.
Thank you, Lyle. Welcome, everybody, to the August 18, 2020 meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. I'm Joe Dugman, here joined by the following members, Haley Dale, Pete Zabaski, our vice chairman, Chris Tardio, and that it? I think that's it. There's 4 of us. And our legal counsel, Doug Berry, is present. Edie Glazer, our city recorder, is here. Am I leaving anybody else out? I think that's it. I don't think anyone else on the city is here. The first We're going to defer any minute. We don't have the minutes this year, this month, so we'll defer that till next month. There are 8 new applications on the agenda, and 1 matter for old business. Each applicant is here because their request for a building permit has been denied, and they're here to appeal. It's responsibility of this board to hear your appeal and determine if there's a compelling reason that would allow the board to grant your appeal, while at the same time protecting the intent and integrity of our code. The board can only hear what's been published. If other items come up, we can't discuss those. The board grants your approval will be specific to your request. Our procedure will be as follows. Our city manager, Lyle Patterson, code inspector, Lyle Patterson, will introduce each item. The applicant or the representative may present the appeal. When doing so, please introduce yourself for the record. It's really important now since we're not in person. There'll be a time for the board to ask questions, and then we'll solicit any comments from anyone in attendance. Please introduce yourself for the record. I'll close off the discussion from the public, and the board members will deliberate in open forum, and board members may choose to ask additional questions of the applicant. A board member will then file a motion, a second's necessary, and the entire board will vote. The decisions of the board are as follows. If your appeal is granted, we ask that you remove your yard sign and obtain your permit within a year. If it's denied, we ask you remove your yard sign. If your appeal is deferred, we ask you keep your yard sign up. As a board member, we've each familiarized ourselves with each application and reviewed the materials and made a site visit if necessary. I'll ask our board members now, are there any conflicts? Okay, there don't appear to be any. We have a quorum, so we're ready to proceed. We have a long agenda, and I'm going to try to move us along. Mr. Patterson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We still have people joining. We got about 27 in this room so far.
Wow.
Hey, under old business, we have 1 item, the application of Bill Wilson, 700 Belmead Boulevard. Conditional use permitting the construction of a swimming pool, a variance special exception for walls and pool equipment. Building permit has been denied for the following reasons. Swimming pool requires BZA approval. That was approved at the last meeting, 7/21. The walls are in other than permitted location. They got a deferral. Walls are over allowed height. They got a deferral. And pool equipment is outside building up. They have a deferral. So whoever is representing, you are up.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jordan. I will be representing on this project. We were in front of the board last month, and the swimming pool location was approved. We had walls that were too tall. The pool equipment was outside of the building envelope, and the walls were outside of permitted locations. Thank you, Lyle. We will probably be best served by going to the elevations on sheet 7. We have reduced the wall heights in the front of the house to 6 feet to maintain pool enclosure, and the columns are at 6'8". You scroll down a little bit, you will see that these walls in the side and rear yard are also under 6 feet. These are not a part of the pool enclosure, as we discussed last month. So we have kept them at the minimum height, their existing height, about 5'8". Here you'll see on the left side of the elevation, those are the walls returning to the face of the garage, also at 6 feet. On the right side, this will work. On the rear of the house, pool enclosure wall, again at 6 feet. To maintain a consistent height at the wrought iron fence, we do exceed 6 feet at about 6'4". That's because we begin on the right side of the fence at 6 feet where it meets the house. Grade falls to maintain positive drainage away from the house about 4 inches, and that's why it is 4 inches above the allowable height. For the pool equipment, it's still shown outside of the building envelope, but we have provided documentation to Lyle that the pool equipment that we will use in this application will not exceed 45 decibels. That's the location there that Lyle is indicating. With the combination of a low decibel pool pump and the walls that surround it that serve as noise abatement, we believe that this is the best location for the pool equipment for this property and to abate noise for the neighbors.
Mr. Chairman, this is Lyle. I wanted to add that staff recommends approval, and also add that the acceptable decibel level in the city is 55 decibel, and I believe this pump is at 45.
Thank you. Thank you, Lyle. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to add? If not, I'll close off this portion, but is anybody else there to speak on behalf of the applicant or any neighbors that you know about?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go right
I've got
ahead.
a question for the applicant. Just for my memory that is clearly not as good as everyone else's, could you just highlight specifically what is different, if anything, different from the last time we saw this project to this time?
In terms of what appears on these drawings, the pool location did not change. That was approved. The walls that you're seeing in this elevation were previously shown at 7 feet tall. We have reduced those to 6 feet tall.
Thank you.
And that's typical as you work your way around the house.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go right ahead, Pete.
the pool equipment, of course, requires a variance for us to approve it. And he did request a variance on this. Before we could approve the equipment, we have to agree that this lot qualifies for variance. I do understand that a variance was issued several years ago, probably 10 plus years ago, because of some underwater drainage. I think Lyle talked about it last week. But just want to make sure we slip in there that we will approve this lot for a variance so that we have authority to approve the equipment outside the building envelope.
Okay. Any other comments? Is it Jordan? I miss that's your first name or second name or?
That's my first name,
First
Jordan.
name, Jordan. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. If there aren't any other comments, then I'll close off the public portion and have the board discuss the applicant, the different portions of his application. Comments? Pete's made a comment regarding variance.
This Chris, let me ask or discuss. So the variance, the stated basis for the variance is the what was it, the underground water or drainage system they had to put in?
Yes, this is Lyle. This is actually, I'm going to annotate here, if you can see the screen. This line that you see going through the middle of the property is actually a creek.
I remember now.
And it's encased in concrete. So it kind of runs right through the third of the envelope. You can see the envelope here across the back. And then it runs down the side. I don't see it across the front, but that's the reason for the the variance.
Any other comments, Pete?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just comment, I think they did a good job listening to the board last time and coming back with a wall height that I think is acceptable. The pool equipment being below the decibel level of the city ordinance, quite a bit below it, quite frankly. And so I would be glad to make a motion if you'd like.
I would like, would you please?
I'd make a motion to approve the application as presented, understanding that the board agrees that it qualifies, the lot qualifies as a variance.
And may I ask, would your motion be to approve all aspects of each part of the application?
Yes,
The fence, the pool, and the two walls areas and the pool.
that's correct.
Okay. Is there a second?
This is Chris. I'll second it.
Okay, Chris, thank you. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye by a roll call, please. Pete?
Aye.
Haley?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay, thank you very much, Jordan.
Thank you.
You're good to go.
First item under new business is the application of Dana Zukowiski, 1208 Nickel Lane, for a special exception permitting the installation of a generator. The building permit has been denied for the following reason. Generator is outside building envelope. Staff does not recommend approval.
Okay, who is here to speak on behalf of this applicant?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. This is Dana Zakierski. I'm the owner of 1208 Nickel Lane. And what Lyle has pulled up, there is a schematic that you can see there where we've drawn out the building envelope based on the Parcel Viewer internet website, if you will. The blue box represents where I would like to place the generator. It is a whole house generator. And it's a preferred location to me because it is significantly closer to the electrical panel, which is represented on this diagram by the red dot, which is in the garage. But then also, because of its location, you know, I considered it to be, I would say, creating less noise, if you will, for a number of the neighbors whose property touches mine. You know, 2 individuals on Canterbury and then 1 on Nickel Lane as well. And it would create a significantly less disruption from moving irrigation, moving plants. And as I mentioned earlier, it's also significantly closer to the electrical panel. Another location or secondary location that you can see on the diagram is represented by the yellow box. The yellow box, you know, would also, I think, still provide a fair amount of noise, or would provide a fair amount of noise to multiple neighbors there on Canterbury, and also disruption from moving irrigation as well as plants and just, you know, getting to the electrical panel, which is on the other side of the house as well. So that is why I was requesting the variance to go outside of the building envelope itself. The generator that I'm looking to install, I would only have it running when there is a power outage. It's not meant to be used on a regular basis. But again, just when there is a power outage and I don't have, you know, electricity in the home. I would also, and this is somewhat represented there on the schematic as well with the little red circles, I would install shrubbery around the generator once it is installed as well, regardless of whether it's outside of the envelope or within the envelope, you know, to be installed. One other question or one other comment, Lyle, I noticed with the information that you posted that I think it was the Davis family who is behind me on Canterbury. did write you an email, which they were specific to say they approved it only if it was located within the building envelope itself. And I did reach out to the Davises. I saw that email, I would say last night as I was looking at some of the materials for today. I haven't heard back from her. I did want to clarify though for her what the building envelope means, because as I was getting into this project, I know I myself was confused and thought that the building envelope was just simply within your backyard, within the fence, which of course, you know, the Belmead rules are simply, you know, are significantly more specific, and it has a completely different meaning. And so I wanted to make sure she understood that as well, because in my view, if the generator would be placed within the building envelope, I think that they would, you know, the noise would not be as abated as much as it would be on the other side of the home, as it relates to their particular property. I don't know if you want to show the aerial view as well, if that would be helpful or not. So in this one, you know, I tried to point out where the ideal location would be. And then the Davis home is the home right behind me to the right with, I will say, the oval pool. And I think, Lyle, there were two other neighbors. John Swift should have reached out to you and said he was okay with this. He is building the property at 1210 Nickel Lane. And then another family, I think at 1205 Canterbury, they reached out to you as well with an email that said that they approved. They were not necessarily as specific to talk about within or the envelope or outside the envelope. So I don't know if there are any questions.
Oh, Ms. Zukierski, did I pronounce your name correctly? Zukierski?
Zukierski, yes, sir, that's correct.
I want to compliment you, whoever did the drawing, because that is very, you did, good job.
I did, well, thank you. I will say Lyle helped at least showing me how to use Parcel Viewer, so that was helpful as well.
Very easy to see and understand. We've had some drawings that I've had to look at more than once to try to figure out what was going on, but that is a well done drawing.
Well, thank you. I did try to get a survey, a professional one done, but I couldn't get it completed in time for this meeting, so.
I've got a question.
Go right ahead, Pete.
Is there a reason why you can't put the generator right behind the house instead of on either side?
Yes, there are several windows that are along the back side of the property there. And so it would, I think codes don't permit you to put it within so many feet of the windows as well.
Okay. All right. The other question I have, this is, of course, this is a special exception, not a variance request. But with that, I don't believe, do we even have authority to approve this piece of machinery outside the building envelope? I guess that's a question for Doug Berry.
Do you want me to respond now, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, or wait till we get to the board discussion?
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to wait.
Okay, I'm happy to do whichever one. I don't see it under the, I will say I don't see it under the list of items for special exception. But I didn't know whether, and I think maybe the application maybe even has the variance box checked on it. Does it not, Lyle, or not? I have to pull that document up on the screen. I don't know how it was advertised. I don't know what the yard sign said.
The
It's
application says special
use
exception.
and a variance, it looks like.
Yeah.
I can check the yard sign. I think it did say special exception on one side of it.
It did.
Well,
Let's wait, Doug, until
yeah,
we
let's
get.
wait. Whatever is the
wait.
will, whatever is the will of the board. I just
Well,
Go right ahead, Pete.
okay. Well, I was going to, wanted to talk more about then the other location. And that is that, do you have a decibel level for that particular generator? How are we going to abate the noise, or is there a lot of noise to abate?
So the noise would be abated by adding shrubbery around the generator itself. The sound decibel, from what I understand from what the contractor has provided to me, it sounds, I think it's 63 at 23 feet. But it does, have a sound level enclosure as part of it as well.
Okay, is there a, the noise abatement around it, that's just going to be shrubbery?
Yes, sir, unless you all have a different suggestion.
Just wondering what you were planning.
Well, I would imagine that the use of that generator would be limited, really limited in terms of how frequent or how long. I mean,
It would only be utilized in the event of a power outage. It's not meant to power the home and get around NES or anything like that at all. It would just simply be if there's a thunderstorm or an event like what we had in early May where I didn't have power for 3 days and really felt like I was camping in my own home, it would be used for something like that as well. But it is not meant to be utilized on an ongoing, continuous, everyday, weekly basis, only for power outages.
well, you'll be sharing your house with neighbors if you get that generator.
I've already heard that, yes.
Anybody else have any other questions for this applicant? If not, I'll close off the public portion and we'll have a discussion among the board members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Doug, you want to talk about the variance request? Apparently this
Well,
was
let's
not,
talk about-
I don't think it was advertised, the variance.
I'm sorry, I'm back in the right place here. So it looks like it was advertised as a special exception
Yeah, that's correct.
and a conditional use, correct? Well,
Yes.
It was advertised as a special exception.
okay, I think the fact that they checked the wrong box on the application is not fatal, I would think. You've got, to answer Mr. Tabasky's question, you've got under the code, the board may grant special exceptions for accessory buildings, including building structure or other uses listed or described in 142021C. And I'm just stay with me here because this is the first time I've really shouldn't be, but I'm looking at this now as we're in real time, as they say, as the kids say. And some of the structures in question would be, for example, and I don't know whether this meets the definition or not, structures for the housing or storage of tools, vehicles, machinery, and or equipment. Any other structure other than a single family dwelling with a permanent foundation or with plumbing or wiring. So I think especially, and I'll let Lyle, board members who are experienced respond to that. I think those definitions are broad enough to treat this as a special exception. Otherwise, what is it? And you help me with that. I'm not a very mechanical person.
My only question, if I may, is what makes this a variance? What makes this a difficult?
Well, we said it was not a variance. It's especially if they apply for a
Okay. I'm looking at 14-204, parentheses 1, parentheses B, mechanical equipment location, all compressors,
Right.
generators, or other equipment necessary to the operation of heating, ventilating.
Okay. What page is it on?
24, 1424.
Yeah,
Okay.
shall be located at or below level within the building envelope.
Oh, I see.
Well, that's the answer to Pete's question then.
Okay, this one's. Okay. I see within the building envelope. So that's similar to the language about swimming pools. Well, I mean, we've got a lot of, as I've stated before in our little seminar, some inconsistent and ambiguous provisions in the zoning ordinance. And it seems like to me that section is clear. I don't know whether the section on special exceptions, which is what the applicant applied for, the sections I just read to you, if you feel like those are talking about the same thing or not. If not, we should have written this up as a variance to begin with. So,
Well, it's not written that way, so we have to take it as it's been presented.
take it as it's applied for. And
Um,
question then is whether or not these sections I read to you on there on pages, who's got his zoning ordinance in front of you, 14, 17, and 14. Just one second. Fourteen, 17 talks about structures other than a single family dwelling, and then let's see. I've lost my place here. Sorry about that.
But let me make this comment. Even if it were written as a variance, which I don't think it should have been, because there's nothing in the variance code that applies here. There's no extraordinarily unusual shape, size,
Does not qualify for a variance
or topographical features.
I agree.
Compared to the others. So I think it was written correctly.
Yeah.
So, okay. Pete, question been answered, I think, that it's required to be within the building envelope. And also, it says there that the located at or below ground level or within the building envelope. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody on the board have any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, please.
just wanted to, the public portions is closed down, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I just wanted to comment that I don't have any problem with putting the generator in the yellow slot there. We have to approve that as well. And so, so I would think that it would work there. And I know it's more expensive, more trouble, but that's what our code won't allow us to put it on the other side, outside the building envelope. So putting it inside the building envelope, if that's the best spot for them, I think it works for me.
I've got a question.
Go right ahead, Haley.
Thank you. It doesn't sound like if we approved the yellow box that the generator would need to be before us to begin with. Is that accurate, Doug?
Well, that's what I was asking Lyle, and I guess the members of the board, how you've interpreted this in the past. Is this one of the structures that has been treated as a special exception use within the building envelope or not? This is my first generator that I've had.
Well, at least in my opinion, the way he's reading it, I think if it is outside the building envelope, we would have to approve it. If it is within the building envelope, we would not. And so my question is, what's on the agenda? If we are to deny the blue box, they can install the yellow box just through Lyle, I believe.
I believe so. Like I said, I was.
No, I believe that in the past, the generators have, and like pool equipment, has come before the board.
Okay. Well, that's all I need to know. It's not absolutely clear that the word generator is not in the zoning ordinance.
Right.
I understand the question.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it needed to be before us either way, but I understand.
That was my reaction to it as well. So I think what we're saying is, where we're going is, as a special exception, well, I'll let the board vote. It will be approved within the building envelope. There's been no basis established for variance.
Right. Okay, and then I also missed, I'm sorry, but my audio was messing up, so my husband had to reset the router, and so I missed, and I apologize for that, but were we given distance? I understand we're given distances to the property lines, but were we given distances to the neighboring homes? I saw the aerial view. I just didn't know if there was,
No, we do not have that.
okay. Thank you.
Pete, you wanted to say something, I think.
Yeah, I'm not too sure that Haley's not right, that we don't have to approve air conditioning equipment inside the building envelope. The way I read mechanical equipment location, all compressors, generators, or other equipment necessary to the operation of heating, air conditioning, ventilating equipment, or other mechanical systems included in a building or structure shall be located at or above ground level within the building envelope. I'm not sure she's right, but I think we should go ahead and vote on it just to, well, just to be sure that we're doing it correctly.
Well, it's on the agenda and the matter is before us, and I see no harm in going on ahead and voting one way or another. So is there a
Well,
motion?
what I was, sorry, I'm sorry. What I was
You want to say
trying,
something?
yes, please. What I was trying to say was, I wanted to make sure that what we're voting on, if we were given 2 locations, so it's not like it says one is in the building envelope and one is outside the building envelope. What is on the agenda is the generator being outside the building envelope. If the applicant needs to come back, or if we are able to grant a conditional approval or something like that, but what's on the agenda is the generator is outside the building envelope. The yellow box is not outside the building envelope. So do you see what I'm saying? It's like, if we deny the blue box, are we implying that the yellow box does not need to come back to the board? And if we are implying that, or we shouldn't imply it, we should just say it, I guess. Is that, Doug, am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
If the only location you're inclined to approve is what the applicants call the secondary location, which is within the building envelope, I wouldn't make them come back for that, whether or not the board has jurisdiction or not. It's possible it's approval as a matter of right without the board approving it, but they're here. It sounds like
Right.
they're inclined to approve that location. Let's go ahead and just take a vote and be done with it.
On the blue location is
Whatever one you think they've entitled or established the right to, the blue location
understood.
is the one within the building envelope. Is that correct?
So the blue is
yellow,
outside.
Well, I mean, do whatever you want to, I guess, but unless you think they're entitled to a variance based on what's been established, and the blue location is not proper to grant. So then the yellow location has been shown. I think they've got a right to have it there, in my opinion, and I don't know why you don't go ahead and just vote on that. I think they're entitled to the blue location.
Because it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Whatever, let me say this. Can I say this, please? Whatever motion, whoever makes the motion, be very specific about, if you will, please, about the motion, because
Right.
the applicant is asking for the location outside the building envelope. I suggest if we're going to approve the yellow location, I suggest that be part of the motion as well. Go right ahead, Pete.
I was just going to say that Lyle's the gatekeeper. If he says that it needs to be approved by the board, then it needs to be approved by the board. Isn't that correct, Doug?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve the generator inside the building envelope.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, a roll call vote, please. Pete?
Aye. Thor?
Haley?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you
your
very
time.
much.
Thank you.
And I know where to come for the next power outage.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right.
Next item under new business is the application of Joel Lyons, 404 Linwood Boulevard, for a conditional use permitting the construction of a swimming pool and a variance for grade change. Building permit has been denied for the following reasons. Swimming pool requires BZA approval. Grade change over allowed outside building envelope. which is 36 inches by 21 inches. Joel or whoever, you're up.
Good evening, Joel Lyons, resident at 404 Linwood Boulevard. Also on the call, represented us is Mamie with Page Duke. Mamie, if you could take it from here, please.
Of course. Hey, Joel, and hey, everybody. This is Mamie Finch with Page Duke Landscape Architects. We are requesting a pool to be built within the rear yard and within the building envelope at 404 Linwood Boulevard. The red outline on this page is the building envelope. It's kind of an odd shape, but we've managed to squeeze in just barely a pool and spa combination on that right rear side of the home. Our pool equipment would also be in the bottom right corner sliver of this document, notched into that pie shape there. We have enough square footage to fit our pool equipment also within the building envelope there. Our pool fencing would, there's 2 gates on either side of the property that extend to the property line, and that would be our 6-foot pool fencing requirement. There's some elevations of that as well. We're within all of our calculations for impervious ratios. And yes, this is our elevation here of our pool fencing. There is a small portion of the new deck, pool deck. If you scroll to the right, I'll point out where that will be. We're exceeding the grading, the max grading allowable by about 21 inches to get that grade smoothed down on the backside of the pool terrace. Where the man is shadowed in sitting, it's just to his right. There's about 106 square feet that we're over the allowable grade change for the area outside the building envelope. It's not a large amount, but it is over that necessary 36-inch requirement. The plan above also shows this on page 4, that corner of the pool terrace.
This is Joe Dugman. Tell us why do you believe it's necessary?
The grade change there?
Yes, the grade change. Sorry. Yeah.
Sure. Right now, the lot slopes from the main house back into this left corner. There's a little bit of a natural creek that's already existing that we're trying not to grade into. So if we elevate the pool terrace by about 18 inches, we can avoid sloping down into that grade quite a bit and just have the grade run into the side of the pool terrace, and we'll have planting along the edge to where you don't have any sort of fall capability, but we're trying to elevate the pool terrace just enough to limit the amount of steps from the main house to the terrace, and then not have to grade sharply down into that creek that is to your left.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else want to speak on behalf of the applicant? Board members have any questions of the applicant? Lyle, you didn't give us your recommendation.
Staff recommends approval.
Okay. If there's not any other comments from the applicant or the owner or anyone else, then I'll close off the public portion. Board members?
I'd like to say something.
Oh, okay. Now, who are you? You're the neighbor, correct?
Neighbor to the rear. Hi, my name is Brian Anderson. I live at 3907 Abbott Martin Road. You know, I'm just concerned about the terrace in general and the grade change affecting the runoff into my yard and into my garage, basically. There's a lot of water that comes off of that property directly into my property, and I think this is only going to make it worse. There's a French drain in front of my garage. It floods, and all of the silty water comes from their house and fills up the drain and clogs it, and then my garage floods. So this is already a problem that's been going on since the house was built, and this is only going to make things worse. And I'm not sure what they're talking about, a natural creek there. There's no, it's not visible. And the water just flows into my yard and across my driveway and into my house, basically.
I'm sorry, where did you say you lived?
I live to the rear of the Lions property on 3907 at 3907 Abbott Martin Road. So I'm directly the neighbor to the rear of their property.
Okay.
Do we have an aerial photo of this property?
This is Mamie with Page Duke again. On the first page, there's a vicinity map that shows our neighbors and the proximity to the houses around them.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just wondering where the creek is.
There's no.
It's a rock swale. That is, it's a creek as far as I've seen at least, but there's some topography that shows a low point where assumingly the water right now is draining towards from the main house. I guess if you could go back, Lyle, to the grading plan. I'm sorry, sheet L3.0 or L4.0.
Is that it, Mamie?
One more down, please. L4.0. Yeah. Our topography really isn't changing very much at all. We're actually trying to match. We're trying to drop down a handful of steps and then get you down to the pool terrace and then naturally slope the same way that it is now. We also will have to do a stormwater study to get this requirement approved to construct. So all of the grading and drainage will need to be approved with a full stormwater study.
Mr. Chairman, I will have more questions about that, but I don't need to do it in the public portion.
Okay. I'm sorry, tell us your name again, sir.
My name is Alan Brian Anderson.
Alan, okay, Alan. Do you have any, have you had any experts look at this project to see whether or not it would make any changes to the existing water flow?
No, I have not. I just found out about it, fairly recently. I have a friend who's a builder and told him that I was planning on coming before you and just with my concern. And he said, just tell him exactly what you've told me. He's a friend of mine who comes over to my house, and the whole entire project just seems really close. 60 feet doesn't really get you a whole lot in terms of a view, an eye-line view. And it just seems like it's right there. And then just the terrace, the pool itself is obviously going to increase the runoff and the pool. And that's going to make problems worse in terms of a runoff into my yard. And then a grade change, it's not something I know about. So, he acted like that it would affect, the runoff into my yard. I really don't know what this creek that they're talking about is. If you look over my fence, there's just a grass lawn there, and this hill slopes up to their house.
But you haven't done any or had anybody do any studies to assess the plans that have been presented and determine whether or not anything's going to change based upon this request?
I have not.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions of the neighbor?
I do.
This is Joel Lyons. I've lived here at this property 4+ years, and this is the first I've heard of any drainage issues from Mr. Anderson. So this is news to me. So again, I was not aware of this.
Go right ahead, Pete.
Lyle, when this house is fairly new, 4 years, so it had a stormwater system put in, I suspect, when it was built, didn't it?
That is correct. They submitted a plan. It went through, I believe, 2, possibly 3 reviews. If this pool is approved, it'll be like a brand new home. It'll have to go through a full stormwater plan, probably go through 2 reviews. This pool will not be given a permit until that stormwater process is approved.
And the purpose of the stormwater approval is to prevent exactly what Mr. Anderson is talking about, to have water runoff on neighboring properties, isn't it?
It is. It's to protect the neighbors. Now, obviously, you can't capture all of the water. The stormwater plan is meant to capture the first 1 inch of rainfall And then everything over that has to have a controlled flow.
Okay. Mr. Anderson, how long have you lived in that house?
Close to 3 years.
Okay, so this was probably a problem even before you bought the house, the water running off of that lot.
I suspect.
So the building of the house probably didn't really impact the amount of water running onto your property. Would you say that makes sense?
I don't know because I do know that the neighbors, I mean, not the neighbors, the previous owners, you know, the drain that they have in front of the garage is fairly new. And, you know, I don't know exactly when they built it, but I just don't. And obviously, this is not something I'm an expert at, and you all know a lot more than I do, but I just don't see how building a house of this size on a double lot would not affect the way that water drains from that property.
Well, that is the purpose of the stormwater review and the system that they put in to prevent exactly any additional problems with neighboring lots. That's the reason they go through a great expense in putting in that system.
So
So
the current system, again, this is Joel again, the current system, you see the indication here at the top. It's underground storage collection where everything's piped to. That was where you got the indicator, and then to your left, kind of swinging around to the left. That's where everything's underground storage collection is piped to. You know, if you could flip to Mamie's graphical drawing where she shows some plantings and things of that nature. If you look to the right here, currently it's more or less overgrown brush. We'll be doing a privacy tree screen across the back with some elevated beds that I think will also help alleviate the runoff.
Okay, I had actually cut off the public portion, but Mr. Anderson and I did want you to be heard, and I think we understand your concern, and so I'm going to go back to the board discussion now. The public portion is closed. Members of the board, any thoughts?
This is Chris, Joe. One question quick for Lyle. Did you know about the neighbors issue when you evaluated this and gave your recommendation, or is this the first you heard of it?
First I've heard of it. And it could be that when Joel hires an engineer, the deck around that pool might be some sort of a paver system that's pervious to help soak up some of that water. I mean, it just depends on the engineer, but no, this is the first I've heard of it.
Does it change your recommendation any?
It does not.
I have a comment, please.
Who is this speaking?
This is William Robertson. I was calling in on my cell phone and I couldn't get it to unmute, so I hurriedly got on the video. I own the log house at 408 Linwood Boulevard. It's next door to Mr. Lyons' house at 404.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I had closed off the public portion, but now are you a neighbor or what?
Yes, I'm the next door neighbor. I've been trying I called in on the cell phone. And
Okay.
I couldn't get it to unmute. And so
Okay.
I finally, in frustration, logged on to the website so that I could make a comment, please.
All right, go right ahead, please, sir.
Well, you know, I've studied the plans that first I heard about the swimming pool was when I got the letter in the mail. And I'm opposed to the application for a couple of reasons. And I've observed the drainage problem that Dr. Anderson mentioned that comes off into his yard. And there's also it doesn't flow into my house, but drainage water flows off of the concrete driveway at 404 Linwood into my backyard whenever there's a good downpour. The driveway slopes downward and then it really takes a downward dip. But luckily my house is not in the direct line of the runoff. But I have observed the water that rushes down toward Mr. Anderson's or Dr. Anderson's property on Abbott Martin Road whenever there's a downpour. So I've seen this, and obviously was concerned when I saw that the grade would be increased by 21 inches. So that would obviously make the runoff worse. And, you know, what was on the property before Mr. Lyons built this large house was a house that was, you know, 3,800 square feet or something like that. Obviously much smaller than Mr. Lyons' house, but it was configured completely different. So the house occupies a great deal of land space on the property. And I did have another comment that's not directly applicable to the rainwater runoff situation, if I may.
Well, I don't know. What is it about?
Well, the swimming pool plans call for an attractive 6-foot-high wooden privacy fence, which I think looks very nice. But the privacy fence does not, it seems, from the way I'm looking at this, extend westward up alongside the driveway where there's a line of gigantic green giant arborvitae trees that were not planted by Mr. Lyons, but they were planted only 24 inches away from the property line. So 3 feet of that tree space on my side hangs over the property line. So I've been fighting a losing battle for the past 3 or 4 years.
I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off regarding the
Yeah.
trees. We're not here about the trees.
Well, this has to do with the privacy fence. So,
Well, that's the pool is required to be enclosed by a fence.
I understand.
Okay. All right. I no more comments from the public at this point, and I'm going to ask the board to discuss the matter, please.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I've got a question.
Go right ahead, Haley. Yeah.
Okay, I guess this is for Lyle, but how does our stormwater approval process interact with Metro's stormwater approval?
There is no interaction with Metro. We have our own MS4. We have our own city engineer. Joel would hire a civil engineer to come up with a stormwater plan that is submitted to our engineer, Steve Casey. It goes under review. More than likely, there'll be at least 2 reviews. Those comments or corrections are sent back to his engineer. So it's a back and forth. It takes several weeks.
Right, I understand. But, okay, so in the case where the runoff would be affecting a Belmead resident, are you saying the process would be handled differently? Because I'm just concerned about us adding to an existing problem, whether it's, you know, if our 2 systems don't communicate with each other, I mean, we're not helping either city with our issues.
Well, this is a Belmead resident, I believe we're talking about.
Well, right, but the property to the rear is not.
I believe it is.
Oh, it is?
Yes,
So both residents are in Belmead?
that's correct.
Okay, and so basically, so I do have a good understanding of how our stormwater process works. Is it possible that it may not have worked well in this scenario and that additional fixes can be made to correct what may, I mean, you know, there's at some level of trial and error, I think, with these things. You don't really know exactly how.
Well, personally, I'm sorry to hear this is the first that I have heard of this. I was going to make a suggestion to Mr. Lyons that would he be willing to do a reevaluation of the entire property if approved, including the pool. Take the complaints from the neighbors. I don't mean to overstep my bounds here, but if he would reevaluate the neighbor to the right, I believe it is, and the one to the rear in this new stormwater plan.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lyle.
I'd be open to that. Again, this is first I'm hearing from either one of them about stormwater issues. So again, we've been here 4 or 5 years. So I'll certainly hear them out and take that into consideration. Again, like Lyle says, we have to get through stormwater review. This is a known issue now. So I'll certainly agree to do my part to resolve it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lyons. Any other board members have any cut feet?
Yeah, yeah, the house is built inside the building envelope, so Mr. Lyons could build that house by right. The swimming pool is inside the building envelope. Our job is not to determine stormwater runoff. Our job is to see if it meets the conditional use standard of the ordinance, which I think it does. Stormwater is handled outside of the purview of this board. We don't have anything to do with requesting or requiring stormwater reviews. That's Lyle and the the other code. It's not this board's responsibility. Ours in this case is just does the pool meet conditional use, and are we willing to allow 21 additional inches of fill on the back of that lot to support the terrace, and that's what we're charged with.
Thank you, Pete. That's very helpful.
I agree. I've got one more question, just procedure wise on this. And to speak to this, not speak to the stormwater issue, but to the residents both on the phone. I do know that, I mean, it is not an easy process to get that stormwater approved. It takes, I think, 4 to 6 months or has been. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's no easy process. So us approving the pool is no easy fix. But I'm curious to know if the stormwater expert disagrees with our ruling, do they just come up with a way to mitigate that, and then it doesn't need to come back to us? I mean, if they decide 21 inches is not going to work out, we don't have to deal with it at that point.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman, I did want to say, before someone makes a motion, if you make a motion because there is a request for a variance, and because you have some neighbors who have expressed direct concern how this might affect their property, make sure that you specify the unusual condition of the property that necessitates a variance, why that's requested, and also a variance to be granted that is not detriment to the public good. I'm not saying that they prove if it is or is not, but keep those in mind when you make your motion, because we've got a situation here where I think the more specific you can be, the better.
Okay.
Make a record about that if you're inclined to do it.
Does anybody want to make a specific motion addressing the variance request and the pool request?
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I can make a motion to approve the request, provided there is a reevaluation of the property, of the entire property, by Belmead's stormwater expert.
Well, let's have discussion about that. I don't know that we've got the authority to do that.
Okay.
I don't know. Do we, Doug?
You can place conditions, Mr. Chairman, you can place conditions on the grant of a variance. Whether or not you want to split it to provide the question as to approving the pool, as Mr. Baskey points out, the pool's been the building below. The pool standards themselves really aren't controversial.
True.
In this matter, but I think the variance is something you need to be specific about. I'll say that again. And you may condition the grant of a variance on some condition as long as it's reasonable. So.
Well, there's a motion on the floor, and I wanted to have a little discussion about it. And
Parliamentary procedure, you just, if you get a second, you may not have to have that discussion.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment, please?
Yes, go right ahead.
When someone complains about a stormwater issue, it's the responsibility of this office to follow up on it. Now that we're made aware, it will be a part of the record as far as the stormwater ordinance. Having said that, if Mr. Lyons is approved for this, those complaints will be taken into effect with the new stormwater plan. So that will be covered. as far as the two neighbors complaining, that will be covered in the stormwater plan on the stormwater end of it.
So I'm asking, so in essence, the motion includes consideration for the stormwater plan. Does it need to be part of the motion, considering what Lyle just said? That's what I'm asking. And I can't make you change your motion, but there needs to be a second, first of all, unless you want to withdraw your motion.
I'm happy to do whatever pleases the committee. I included it in the motion because Lyle said he was going to suggest a reevaluation of the entire property. And I did understand that we could grant a variance with conditions in place. However, I was just trying to move the committee along, and I am happy to withdraw my motion and wait for another.
Pete?
It might make sense at this point, Joe, to break it into two different motions. One for the pool and one for the grade change, since one's a conditional use and the other is a variance.
Well, if you feel that's appropriate, you make the motion accordingly.
Okay. Well, I'd make a motion to approve the pool as submitted.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Let's do a roll call vote. Pete?
Aye.
Haley?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay, and second request regarding the second issue regarding the variance. Do you want to word a motion to that effect, Pete?
Well, you know, is it, I guess a question to Lyle, is it typical that a grade change outside the building envelope is a variance?
Due to the topography of this lot sloping heavily from front to rear, I felt it was a variance.
Okay. All right. Well, in that case, I would say the lot, in my opinion, the lot qualifies as a variance because of the topography. So I would make a motion to approve the grade change, agreeing that the lot does qualify as a variance.
Is there a second?
Because of the topography.
Is there a second for the motion?
I second it. It's Chris.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, Pete?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Haley?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say something to the two neighbors. If they would be so kind as to just shoot me an email at their convenience, just stating simply their concern, I will make that an official record since I'm the stormwater co-manager, and we will include that in the review of the plans.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Item under new business is the application of Jack Wallace, 1 Hampton Place, for conditional use during the construction of a greenhouse. The building permit has been denied for the following reason. Greenhouses require BZA approval. Staff recommends.
What was that? Staff recommends approval?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, anybody here on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, my name's Charlie Rankin, and I'm an architect working with the Wallaces, residents at 110 Hampton Place and West Hampton Place. And as Lyle stated, we're here to seek approval to construct a Hartley Botanic greenhouse to the rear of the property, highlighted by the circle on the site plan that Lyle is showing there. And the reason it's before the board is simply because it's a conditional use. Hartley Botanic is an 80-year-old company based in England that fabricates greenhouses. And there's an example picture of a very similar model to the one that's proposed. It'll be a white aluminum structure like that. We will do a brick base around the bottom of the greenhouse with a limestone cap that's in keeping with the materiality of the existing house. We'll do our best to kind of match the brick to the house that's there, but use that as a good graphical representation of what the actual built greenhouse will look like. As far as siting on the property, and Lyle, if you want to go back to that site plan, you can notice that the greenhouse is located towards the rear of the property. We are within our setbacks. We're about 2 feet inside the side setback, and we're about 60 feet inside the rear 85-foot setback, and we're about 83.5 feet inside the 60-foot setback. So certainly no encroachment towards the neighbors there. The greenhouse is centered on a bank of windows. It's an existing sunroom to the left of the house, meant to frame that view out of the sunroom, centered on the long gable of the greenhouse. And then the entry will be centered on a small pathway that will branch off of an existing sidewalk that leads between the existing main residence and an existing guest house that's on the back side of the property. It's situated close to the gardens in that back property area. If you look at the land to building ratio chart, you'll notice that the site is just shy of 100,000 square feet. So, you know, we are well within all of our allowables. The proposed greenhouse adds 146 square feet to the footprint. As you can see, they're still well inside the maximum allowable. Same for the FAR, the added 146 square feet, well inside the FAR, and we're still well inside the total accessory area as well. So really the request is just simply due to the conditional use of a greenhouse. And with that, I will turn it over to Jack Wallace, who's the owner. I think he'd like to say a word about their vision for the project.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, we've lived at this house for about 27 years. My wife's a big gardener. We've got a lot of the property is garden, you know, got gardens. And we saw this at the Antique Garden Show and made a commitment then. It's being manufactured right now in England, and we're actually sending a crew down from Massachusetts to assemble it in October, and we didn't realize that this was going to require approval. So we're sort of throwing ourselves on the mercy of the committee here, because we're pretty far along before we realized what was going on.
Have you paid for it?
We paid for it, yeah. We cut them a check. But it's going to be it's going to be the nicest greenhouse in Bellevue, I'll say that about it. So,
How old did you say this company is in England?
Hartley, I think they've been around a long time. They're sort of.
Yeah, I think they started in the 1940s. They're about 80 years old.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 1800s. Okay, yeah. Lyle, will you go back to the drawing to show us where the building envelope is? I honestly couldn't tell from that drawing.
It looks like this is the side setback here. Is that right, Charlie?
That's correct, yes.
I haven't been drinking, I promise. It just looks like it. Not very straight with this line here. And there's the other one up here. And the rear setback, this would.
That's the 85 foot right there.
Right here, and here's the 60.
Well, you got to pass during these times if you have been.
And it looks like it's inside the setback by a few feet there, as you can see.
Yeah, we're 2 feet inside of that side setback line.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments from the applicant or the owner? I mean, the applicant's representative. Okay. Board members, any questions of Pete?
I just have one. What's the dimensions, the outside dimensions?
It's 15.5 feet long, and
8'6" in depth.
yeah, 8'6" is the main body, and then it has a small vestibule that bumps out another 33 inches from that.
And the height?
Ten foot
11 inches.
Yeah, 10'11" is the height.
Thank you.
Well, if there's not any other comments from the applicant or the representative, I'm going to close off the public portion and ask the board members to discuss it.
It's
Comments?
nice.
Questions? Pete?
Just looks nice.
It does look nice, yeah.
I wish I could have one myself. Beautiful.
We'll make an application.
Well, if we don't approve this one, you could, if we don't approve this one, you can probably buy it cheap.
Right, it's already being
No,
built. I may
no.
be able to get my hands
We're gonna have to
on it.
negotiate on that one.
Don't pay for it first. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second. It's Chris.
Okay, Haley made a motion to approve, Chris seconded. Any other discussion? If not, your vote, please.
Aye.
Pete, aye. Chris?
Aye.
Haley?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you,
very
sir.
much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Next item is the application of Jeff Leeper, 3 Honeywood Drive, for a special exception permitting the construction of a gate. The building permit has been denied for the following reasons. Gate is over allowed. Staff recommends approval.
Okay, who is here on behalf of the applicant?
My name is Jonathan Helm, 4915 Swanee Road, and I'm a contractor on this property.
Is it Helm, H-E-L-M?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We have 2 existing historic columns that were on the property prior to the renovations we've done. And with the width of these columns, we're needing a 5-foot tall hinge point to support the weight and the structure of the column. And if you see in the drawings, we scallop back down to 3 foot. So we're not asking for an entire 5-foot tall gate. It's an open air gate as well, which allows see through the property.
Go back to the picture again. I'm not clear. What does the picture represent again?
The pictures are the existing columns at the property.
Okay, there you go.
And those columns are how tall?
Those columns are approximately 6 feet 6 tall. And at in the middle, it's 3 foot tall.
Anybody have any questions of the applicant's representative, Mr. Helm? Anybody here on behalf of anybody else? I'll go right ahead, Pete.
Was there a fence there before,
No, sir, there was not a gate.
or a gate? I mean,
No, sir, there was not.
but it's already has the holes in the side for a gate. Did I hear you say that?
Yes, sir, it does.
Those were put in anticipating of approval of this?
Those were prior to us, yes, sir.
Okay, anybody else have any questions of Mr. Helm? Or Mr. Helm, anybody there to speak on the owner's behalf? If not, nobody has any questions, I'll close out the public portion and the board.
Wait,
can-
I've got one.
Go
I'm
right
sorry.
ahead. Yeah.
I never think of them until you start to close it down. I wondered if you had any examples of neighboring gates on your street or any neighboring properties that this would be similar to.
None on Honeywood specific. There's a few that have been, I think there was a new one on Bellmead Boulevard that was fairly close, and on Linwood as well, but none on Honeywood itself.
Okay.
Okay, let's close off the public portion. Board members, what do you say?
Mr. Chairman, I rode the whole property, whole neighborhood today, and there's not a gate anywhere on that property, anywhere on that Sunnyside or Ellendale or Honeywood or Malone. There's not one gate on any house that I noticed. It's unusual for the board to approve a gate in a neighborhood where there's no other 6 feet, a gate 6 feet tall or anything over 3 feet, in a neighborhood where there's not any gates. If you do, then you open the neighborhood up for for anybody who wants a gate. You set the precedent. There's a gate on Linwood that's gone up, but there's one right across the street from them that is, I think, 6 or 8 feet tall. So there was some comp in the area, but there are no comps in this area. Just an FYI.
Well, this is Joe. Now the gate itself is not 6 feet, is it?
No, it's 5 at the tallest point at the column and then dies back down to 3. It's 5 feet at the tallest to handle the weight of the gate.
Pete, go right ahead. Do you have any concerns about, I'm not clear about why you think that there potentially is a problem in creating a precedent. I'd like to understand.
No, and I'm not saying there is. I'm just making you aware that there's no other gates in this area, and this could mean that there's a lot of gates to go up. I am curious. I wanted to ask Lyle why he supports this.
Because it is open. It is, if it were closed, I would say definitely not. It's open. It's 3 feet in the middle. I think it's pretty attractive. It's far enough off the road.
Yeah, about how far back off the road is it, Lyle?
Jonathan, can you speak to that?
It's approximately about 27 feet off the road.
Okay.
And I believe that the walls on each side are how tall, Jonathan?
The columns are 6, and then the wall at the street, or the cheek walls right there, are
3 feet. 3 feet.
Yeah.
Are these historic walls?
I do not have the answer to that. I am not sure, but we are treating them as if they are.
But everything else is existing other than adding the gate itself between the columns. You're not adding anything else. You're just basically putting a gate between what's already there.
Correct. And we're rebuilding the wall on the left side from where it
Mhm.
years of damage. So yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Does the owner want the gate for security?
Yes, it's a very large piece of property. It's about 4 acres, and it's a very long driveway. And sometimes you just get looky-loos coming up there, and so that's the main reason for the gate.
Okay.
Keep people from driving because it sits so far back off the road.
Board members, anybody have a motion?
I've got a question, Joe, not
Okay.
of the applicant, but of the the board, do we approve all gates, like swimming pools, or is this one in front of us just because of the height issue?
The height issue, if it was 3 feet,
Wait.
you wouldn't be here.
Okay.
We wouldn't have to hear it. And as far as the swimming pools, 6 feet, there are certain areas they're allowed 6 feet of fence coming off the back corner of the house and property line.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? If not, is there a motion? Haley,
I move to approve.
is there a second?
I second it. This is Chris.
Chris second. Okay. Any other discussion? If not, let's have a roll call vote, please. Haley,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Pete,
No.
and I vote aye. Okay. Thank you very much.
Next item is the application of the Belmead Country Club, 815 Belmead Boulevard, for a special exception for the construction of an expanded parking lot. Building permit has been denied for the following reason. Under Appendix D, country clubs construction or improvements upon a country club site requires BZA approval. Staff recommends approval. Anna Maddox, you're up, you're on. Or on, you're up.
Hey, I'm Tom Hooper here, representing the club along with Anna Maddox from Barge Coffin. I'm representing the club in the capacity as the chairman of the Green Committee. We not only have responsibility of the golf course, but all things green here, including the parking lot. I think I also got the short straw and had to be here. But Anna's here for technical, to answer your technical questions, and I'm also joined by Michael Seabrook, who is our general manager. This plan is to add more parking to the country club's current parking lot. We are netting about 55 new spaces, and this is really to accommodate the construction of our new fitness center that's slowly or close to be wrapped up at the end of September. And we're excited about the membership that are going to be here going to the gym. And so this new parking, these new parking spaces are going to help accommodate that daily load. It's also going to help us to on those days where we're busy when members try to create parking places, they park out on Harding Place in the grass, and it's just not a very safe environment. We're also not asking for any additional curb cuts. We're going to still use Belmead Country Club entrance and the existing entrance on Harding Place. Lyle, if you will switch it over to that aerial we sent, I'd like to just show everyone where we are talking about on the club property. And you see my mouse here? So just a level set, everybody see this is an aerial. Show them Belmead Boulevard and Harding Place. In the entrance there at Harding Place, currently we're going to fix a little detail where when the parking lot is full, members have to go swing out to Harding Place and back in to go find a space somewhere. So the new plan's going to fix that where members can turn within our parking envelope there on Harding Place entrance. The new parking is going to be where Lyle is drawing I'm not going out that far, but yes, in that green space there is going to be where the new parking spaces will be added. We're going to save as many trees as we can. We're going to plant new ones. We're going to extend that current hedge on that side there out to protect, to hide the cars as well. We're going to use pervious pavers that'll solve any water quality and quantity issues that we know that happen. That's been reviewed by the city engineer. He's in agreement. The landscaping plan is being designed by Kaiser Tribune, so we're excited about that. We're going to have extra security, new security cameras, additional security cameras. I believe that Mr. Seabrook and the Belmead Police Department were communicating about, collaborating about, and they were excited to know that we're going to have more cameras. And a big thing is lighting. We really have little to no lighting on this side of our parking lot. It's really just in trees, existing trees. And as we've lost them due to trees to storms or poor health, we've therefore lost lighting. And with really active membership, some senior citizens getting to your car late, in the darkened corners of that parking lot, this will alleviate that. Anna, have I left out anything, any details? Okay, no, she's shaking her head no. Michael? And the light, oh yeah, on our lights or our poles that will be added, there will be 0 light pollution. So Lyle, if you'll switch back to the plan that we've submitted. You can see the red X, if you let's see, get us oriented again. Let's see, Harding Place entrance is on the left side of this plan. Bellamy Boulevard will be on Plan North. And the X in the middle was, this is our amended plan, so we're deleting that row of parking, and that will be converted to, or left as green space. That's all we have. Happy to take any questions.
Questions, anybody?
I've got one. Does the Harding Place existing entrance change at all, or are we using the same?
It does not change. The location of the Harding Place entrance does not change.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Sorry, guys. Anna would like to make a quick question, or make a quick comment.
I was just going to point out that the entrance.
Excuse me, who's speaking right now?
Why don't you mute yours? Hold on, we're going to try it now.
This is Anna Maddox. I'm the civil engineer with Barge Coffin on behalf of the club. I just wanted to add that the Harding Place entrance is not changing, but we are improving it by adding an internal bypass. Lyle, I don't know if you can point that out on the screen.
Harding Place over to the left.
No, both of Harding.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Fine.
And we believe this will improve traffic within the property, but
Here?
also further down.
Further down? We're talking about here, Anna?
Yes, that area.
Okay, sorry.
So currently, cars circulate through the site and have to enter on Harding Place to make a U-turn back into the property to access the other parking. We're not changing anything within the right-of-way, but we are adding, we're breaking the parking to allow traffic to circle inside the site rather than going out on Harding Place. That's all.
Thank you. Board members, any questions? Pete?
Just a screening on Harding Place to hide the new parking lot. Are you planning some significant screening there? I don't see it on the drawing.
Yes, we are. We're planning a hedge. If you'll go back to a lot of the aerial that we had, if you will see just as an example, the hedge the existing hedge that screens the cars today, that type of hedge will be screening the cars on on both Harding Place and Bellmead.
Okay, so you're removing what's there.
Correct.
Okay.
Just on that side.
Hey, Lyle,
we-
while you,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry. I was just going to say, Lyle, while you have that up, can you just mark where the lot is? And I want to make sure I'm oriented again. Or the new lot, the proposed new lot. Okay, that's what I thought. Thanks.
I was just, I think I saw at some point the lights that were submitted. Could we go over those really quickly?
The type of lighting you talking about?
Oh, the lighting.
Mm-hmm. I think that was in what I was able to pull up, but
Where would that be, Tom, Anna?
It should be in the, at the end of that package.
Yeah.
yes. So are these on posts? Are these posts?
Anna, will you answer that, please?
Yes, they are on posts. These lights will be similar to the ones that exist now over by the pool at the club.
Mm-hmm.
They shine down, so it's a low lighting, not encroaching the right of way or outside of the club property.
I believe they're 12 feet in height, one installed.
That's correct.
And then did I hear you all mention, I'm sorry, additional cameras?
Yeah, we have, and Mr. Seabrook is here, but I think I'll try to speak for him. We have a few cameras currently that monitor just, basic coming and going of the club. But with I think they'll be on the lights, light poles, on the light posts, additional security cameras that we don't, just more coverage, really.
Great. Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, one last question.
Word ahead.
How many spaces will this new plan increase?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, good question. Net new spaces, 55.
Thank you. And then do you still plan to use the across the street for overflow?
Only for special events.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Any other questions of the applicant or the representative? Okay, if not, I'll close off the public portion. Board members, what do you say?
You want a motion?
Please.
Make a motion to approve as submitted.
Is there a
Second.
second? Is there a second?
Second, Haley Dale.
Any discussion? Roll call, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
aye. Haley, aye, and I vote aye as well. Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, the application of Lamar Stanley, 605 Linwood Boulevard, for a special exception permitting the construction of an addition. Permit has been denied for the reasons. Low slope roof allowance has been exceeded. Portion of mudroom addition is over side setback. Staff recommends approval.
Okay, who's here on behalf of the Stanley application?
Hello, I am. My name's Shelley Carter with Dryden Architecture and Design, here to represent Lamar and Wesley Stanley as our request to seek a special exemption due to the existing conditions of our entire 100% of the existing home is a low slope roof with portions of it at 412 and portions of it as a true flat roof, sloped simply for drainage. Also briefly to note, the roof overhang extends the setback, but the building footprint does not. And we were able to have the opportunity to meet with Lyle early in design, and were encouraged that the design looked good, but it was recommended we present to BZA due to the fact that 100% of the existing house, which we can look at some photos on the next slide or two, I think. So the top left corner shows the perspective view of the street, and you can see it is a very low sloped house. And then moving over to the right, you see the quote street view, and you're looking at existing 412 pitch on both of those portions. And then as you move around to the rear, you can see there are two portions with flat roofs as well. Yes, we would like a special exemption due to the fact that it would be, I'm not really sure what we would do to maintain a under 30% portion as low slope. We would have to add program and I think a very inappropriate style. And so the program is, you see the dark black canopy, that's a proposed shading canopy at a renovated terrace in the rear. And then the yellow portion is representing the low slope, the proposed low slope roof over a mudroom, covered breezeway, and garage workshop. And then if you look at the elevations, you can see that our answer to the most appropriate resolve on this was simply to maintain the existing style of the house, maintaining that exact slope for the garage workshop. The canopy is a slope for drainage only to the rear of the house. And so yes, we would love to have a special exemption to keep this kind of tasteful extension of the house.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Go right ahead, Haley.
What year was the home built?
Let's see, I believe it was, and the owners are here too, they could probably speak more clearly. I want to think around 1952. Let's see, Wesley and Lamar, would you like to?
Pete, you probably know that answer.
Yeah, mid 50s.
Hmm.
Mid 50s. I'm not sure if it's 57, but the mid 50s.
1951.
Like I said, early 50s.
And then I guess this is a question for Lyle, but is this one of the ordinances that was changed as part of the 90s? The changes to our
the slope roof?
Yes.
That was changed, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, but that was really, we have caveats in the ordinance for something like this. Technically,
right.
I felt this needed to come to the BZA, but when you're matching the existing picture
right.
on the home, I mean.
Totally. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've got a question, Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Pete.
Did I hear you say that the extension that's outside the side setback is just the roof overhang? The footprint itself is inside the side setback?
Correct. And you can see on the front elevation that it is, it's approximately a 2-foot overhang. And so you can see that it is a lengthy overhang, right. But the building is within the setback.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, if not, we'll close off the public portion and discuss among ourselves. Members of the board? Comments? Pete,
I just, I lived in this house for 10 years, and I think what they're doing is wonderful. I think it's going to be a good improvement, somewhat of an update, certainly in the back. Looks like they're eliminating the garage doors in the front of the house, which is something that, that the city likes. So I think it's well done.
I agree with Pete.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'm
I'll make a
happy to
motion.
make a, okay, go
Okay.
ahead, Pete. No, you go, it was your house.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Okay, and I'll second.
Haley, second. Any discussion? All in favor by roll call, please. Pete?
Aye.
Haley?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you very much, Lamar.
Next item, the application of Nashville Design Build 309 Westview Avenue for a variance and conditional use permitting the construction of a swimming pool. Building permit has been denied for the following reason. Swimming pool requires BZA approval. Pool is partially outside the rear building setback. Chip, if you're on, you're up.
Lyle, do you have a recommendation?
Staff recommends approval.
Mr. Chairman, before we start, I've got a question. Nashville Design Build, I've never seen someone other than the homeowner, the name on the application, and I thought that was a requirement.
I'm the homeowner also. And Nashville Design Builds my company also. So, but the house is in the name of Nashville Design Build. So
okay,
it's deeded that way.
Okay, thank you.
You want me to go ahead and kind of let you know?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. This is how the house sits. It's kind of a narrow, odd shaped lot. It was originally platted this way. I think Lyle said, is it like 1913?
1913, yes.
1913. So it's kind of it's a large acreage lot, but the way it's configured, as you can see, the house was built in the 90s and it was built kind of exactly to the front and rear setbacks. Where we're asking for the pool, it doesn't show it in this picture. Can you go to the other one? Let's see, that one there. This shows the pool location in the back of the house. We have an area to the left side of the house where we could do the pool over on kind of that side lot, but we'd rather have it in the back of the house for privacy reasons. And it's just a better location. But the pool is about 50% into the 60-foot setback on the rear of the house. So basically, the pool this is a daylight basement house, so it's kind of on the lower level of the sloping lot, and the grades wouldn't change or anything on the existing lot from where it is. There's kind of a flat area right behind the house back there that sets up really almost perfect for the pool. So we would also be doing a buffer there's a creek along that back property line. We'd also be doing a buffer consisting of magnolias and hollies and, evergreens all along that creek area to provide a buffer between the houses on the rear side of the house. The houses to the left and the right are pretty far away, so house to the right doesn't even see the pool, and the house to the left is a good distance away. And there is a large set of buffer trees between the house on the left and us that exists now. I can't even see the house next door from my house, from that buffer that exists there already.
What is the total acreage of the lot?
I think it's 1.53 acres.
Okay.
It's a large lot, but it's just elongated. So.
Your application, you want a variance request. Can you tell us your thoughts on the reason you want a variance request?
The reason we're requesting the variance is to be able to build the pool partially in the setback. As it exists right now, there's not enough room to put the pool in the back of the house within the existing building envelope. We can get about 50% of it in there. It would be a very small pool if we tried to get it into that setback, that little kind of V-shaped area there in the back corner.
Lyle, could you explain why this building envelope is so bizarre?
Well, when this lot was established, July of 1913, they didn't have building envelopes. So
Okay.
this envelope is correct as shown, and this house was built, as Chip said, in the 90s. You can see it's aligned perfectly front and rear with the given envelope. It's a very odd envelope. And I talked to him about this lot being a variance because of its unusual shape.
Mm. And then, not that it matters, but secondarily, I mean, if the lot were to be divided, which I know is not the responsibility of this board, but if it were to be divided, there would be a wholly separate building envelope to this right side that could house, I mean, a fairly decent sized house, correct?
No, with the
it's
front.
not big enough.
Okay.
You got to have 40,000 square feet to establish a new lot.
So it's not that large. It's just.
Right. It's skewed over to the right if you're facing the house, because that is the only area that house could go inside that envelope, as you can see from those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the,
And then that jut out in the front, is this the front elevation that you're drawing right now?
no, that's the rear.
The rear, okay.
The front, here's Westview up here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the pool equipment is inside the building envelope.
Yes, if you can go to
Pool
that.
equipment is,
Yeah. The pool equipment's in that back right corner, inside the setback.
inside.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go right ahead, Haley.
thank you. Did you consider, we've had applicants put pools, I mean, almost, I mean, I feel like they'd open a door and fall into a swimming pool just to get it inside the building envelope. Did you consider moving it closer to the home?
We considered that, but it would have to be, in order to get that pool that it's showing there, I think is about 14 feet wide. It's not a very big pool. And even if you pull it back towards the house, it's, right now I think it exists about 10 feet off of the house, off of that, where that chimney jut out is. So it's fairly close as it is now. Yeah, you could do it, I guess, where you'd step out the back doors and into the pool, but we're looking to have it, located where you had a little bit of pool deck, at least an area to walk between the pool and the house on both the sides facing the house.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions of the applicant? I have a question. What do you plan to do to put cover the pool equipment? Is there any shrubbery or fence?
Yeah. We'll do shrubbery along that side of the house. We'll do, or we could do fencing around it, but we prefer to do shrubbery, softscape, landscaping around it.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions of the applicant? If not, I'll close off the public portion and ask the board to deliberate.
Could we go back to the aerial photos or the neighboring properties? I'm just looking at that rear setback line. Okay. So the homes to the rear have sort of unusually large backyards.
Yes, we've got a lot of distance, and there's a creek in between us and the neighbors behind us, and a lot of vegetation between us and the neighbors behind us right now.
Thanks.
Board members, thoughts, questions, comment, motion?
Okay. Well, I think the lot qualifies as a variance, first of all.
Could you zoom in, Lyle, one more time?
On this one, Haley?
Yes, please. I'm trying to figure out what the, oh, that says public utilities. Okay, I didn't understand. Okay. So the 60-foot setback is what's running straight through the middle here
That's correct.
of the pool. Mm-hmm. Okay, now will you zoom back out? Sorry, one more time. Okay. And
That other
the
setback line.
lot was determined when? You said 1913?
July 26, 1913.
Thank you.
Pete?
Lyle, you showed two setback lines in the back. What's the first one? One closest to the rear property line. How far is that from the rear property line?
So here is the 60. And Chip, this is the public utility drainage easement, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay. Chairman, you want a motion?
Please.
I would make a motion to approve as submitted, recognizing that the lot does qualify as a variance because of its unusual shape.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Haley's
Haley
a-
Dale.
Any further discussion? If not, a roll call vote, please.
Aye.
Haley?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye, I agree.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Last item on the agenda.
Application of Buddy Ortel for conditional use permitting the construction of a swimming pool. The building permit has been denied for the following reason. Swimming pool requires BZA approval. Staff does not recommend. Whoever is representing you. Gabe?
This is Gavin Duke, landscape architect, Paige Duke. What we were trying to do is be creative. The owners wanted to do a swimming pool. The lot is very narrow in the back, and we were trying to think very creatively of how we could fit a pool within our sort of existing condition, which is where the existing house extends to. So as you see in the back there, that back corner of the house, that dash line, we took the dash line from the back, that portion, and extended that straight across. Well, there it is. And what we were doing is putting it up on the second level, which is up at the upper terrace. I think the owner really wanted to try to figure out how to get a lap pool. It's an 8 by, I believe, 26 or 20. How much is it? Almost 30. It's the extent of that. I don't know if you can get into that, but yeah, almost 30 something feet. So what we were trying to do is elevate it and create a wall with a series. There would be a drop off of 30 inches that would meet code for not having to have a handrail on the edge. And then we meet the 6-foot requirement by the lower wall that comes around. And then all we would need would be a 6-foot self-latching gate at the back bottom of the steps. The pool equipment would be within, you would be gaining access from the garage. and there's an elevation that shows it's underneath the shallow end of the pool. And Lyle, if you have that elevation of the back portion of the house. And it's a rather modern house. I think that the reason it extends to that section in the back, that was Bruce Crabtree's house and lot, and the existing condition did not meet the setbacks at that point in time. So what we were trying to do is trying to terrace from the pool level down, and then have green screening at that bottom portion, and then there's a lower 2-foot wall, and then a gate that would access the bottom of those steps. And the existing position of it, the properties to the rear, I don't know if we can look at that, Lyle, where the back properties, the Fishers, and there's another property next to them. They're big, sort of 2-acre lots, and there's quite a bit of distance between the area that we're sort of asking for the pool and to the back of their house.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Kaylee.
may I ask a question of
Certainly.
the applicant? I am so sorry to be slow. I am so confused. What is happening here? Is this a pool on the second floor of a home I understand this elevation, but where is the man lounging in a lounge chair?
At the pool level.
He's sitting at the pool, this guy.
Yeah, he's at the pool level.
He's at the pool. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, as you know, on Sunnyside, all those lots drop severely to the back.
Right.
So, you know, we were trying to creatively, and there, you know, there's ample room back there if we weren't in that 60-foot setback, but we're trying to be creative to have a pool and to sort of be within where the existing extent of the house is, but it's not within the 60-foot setback.
So basically you're terracing up from the backyard
Correct.
towards the home because it slopes so far downward.
Correct.
Okay.
It slopes severely to the back.
Okay.
Kevin, where's the fence around the pool? Where would it be?
Actually, it would be the 6-foot wall that is that secondary wall below the 30-inch one.
This one, Gavin?
That one is, that one's 6 feet. And it comes back around and attaches. So that's 6 feet there. And then there's a 6-foot gate at the bottom of the steps. There's an existing stone wall at the back of the lot. And there's a lot of sort of amenities that we're in. And we were trying to think of a creative way not to make any kind of undesirable fencing back there.
But you've got plantings around the pool, right?
Correct. There's plantings that sort of mask that 30-inch and also plantings that screen off the 6-foot. And then there's a seat wall down at the bottom that would be, I think, a 24-inch, 20-inch or 24-inch wall. And like I said, again, the pool equipment, if you go back to that section, would be housed underneath the pool itself, and it would be accessible from the inside of the garage.
This is the location of the pool equipment, correct?
Correct. Underneath underneath that shallow, it's a 3'6" to 5'6" to 3'6" lap pool.
Wow, can you go back to the elevation with a man lounging?
Yes.
I like that one.
I do too. So is it legitimately against the house?
Yes, it is formed, there's a shell that would have an expansion joint against the house. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a 6-inch shell, and then it comes out to the outermost part of that for the pool.
I mean, this sounds weird, but the man standing in the window and the man lounging, I feel like should be in the water. Are they not in? Is he in the house, the guy in the window?
They could jump in from
They
that
could
level.
jump in. Okay.
Yeah, it's at
Okay.
that deck level of the existing house.
So
Okay.
there's no deck level at the pool.
The deck level is, yes, it's that covered porch that where the FFE 555.53.
So that
That is at
opens
the
up
pool level.
Oh,
that
that's
opens up
covered
flush
porch.
to the pool. Okay. So that opens up flush to the pool. So
All of that area does, yes.
right.
A portion of it's uncovered and a portion of it's covered.
Okay.
Oh, so that area that is not that's not part of the house. That's part of a
It's an
deck.
open air space, yes. It's a covered porch and then a uncovered porch.
Over the garage. That's the roof
Over
of the
the
garage.
garage, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Gavin, is this section covered here?
That section is covered, correct.
And this section is open.
It's open.
Well, that's creative.
I was gonna say creativity points for sure.
Well, it was a chess game of figuring out the levels and knowing that we, could not have one on the ground level. There's a perfect place down there in the lawn that, it'd be perfect for it to go, but it's not allowed. So we were trying to be within allowable and trying to fit, pool equipment, the fencing requirements, trying to go within the limits of where the existing house extended to. That was our goal.
Pete?
Never mind. I've got a question for Lyle, but I can do that during the public, private portion.
Gavin, do you have any other comments or anybody else want to speak on the owner's behalf?
I'd just like to say, we tried to do everything possible to be creative and be within what we thought was the ordinances.
Okay.
To get them a pool.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Let's close off the public portion and board members, let's discuss this. Pete?
I'm curious as to, I heard Lyle say that he is not, the staff does not approve it. It seems to me it's pretty straightforward, so I'm not real sure why the staff would say that.
The pool is outside the building envelope in the rear.
Oh, I thought it was inside.
No.
Ah.
I'm gonna draw.
Show us where.
If you'll notice this line here, that's the 60-foot setback. If we continue that, it runs through the pool right here.
Okay, I thought you drew it earlier on the outside there.
No, let me zoom out here and erase this. What this other line is showing basically, where this line is following the contour of the rear of the property, and it's showing where it touches the house. Comes on down here. They're taking the corner of the pool here to that imaginary line that touches the corner of the house here.
Okay, so it's existing setback is what they're selling.
Yes, exactly. The actual 60-foot setback, let me erase all this. The actual 60-foot setback is here, and it runs through the house like that. The pool is outside.
So the entire pool is outside the building envelope and the pool equipment.
With the exception of maybe a sliver, yes.
As is part of the house. Outside the in-building envelope, correct?
I'm sorry, Joe.
Part of the house is outside the building envelope.
Yes.
You know, I remember when this house came before the board, it was probably 12 years ago. And I don't recall, but it must have been a variance if it was approved outside the building envelope. I think it was the first case I ever sat on the board. And I could have sworn Buddy Ortell said he'd never come back to the board again, but
he's not before us, is he?
But here we are.
He got sacrificial lamb, Gab.
Yeah, but if we, you know, unless this lot qualifies as variance, we couldn't approve it anyways.
I think you got that right about trying not to ever come before the board. This is Buddy, sorry. I think I will confirm that, yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm thinking of some other cases that we've approved. I'm remembering one on Forsyth where people are sort of uprooting existing terraces and whatever just to get within this rear setback. I mean, I think we've seen this before. I'm curious, is it not? I guess it. Well, I don't want to make us go back out of session, but I'm assuming that Lyle will be able to answer that it was not an option to uproot any portion of this existing terrace.
Where are you talking? Where you mean?
Well, you know, the covered and uncovered, what does FFE even stand for?
Finished floor elevation.
Okay.
There's
so
a garage under there, Haley. There's a garage.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, is it a patio?
It's a patio on top of a garage.
Uh-huh. But I understand what you're saying. I mean, I get where you're going with that, but there's some portion that you were going to drop down, I mean, below a shallow depth of a pool and then pool equipment. Where do you enter this garage?
It should be, yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
I think the pool is, somebody's jumping in the pool there.
Here's the pool. Can you all see this? Here's the pool.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay. Here is the open air.
Okay.
Obviously, this is the garage.
Mm-hmm. So at that, okay, and I'm not, my scale is not going to be totally accurate, but so you got just about 5.5 feet here of pool depth at that area where then the pool equipment was going to be below. And what I think what Gavin's trying to say is to put the pool above that garage was not possible because of the depth that they wanted in the pool.
Correct.
Okay.
I imagine the cost would be pretty strong as well. Yeah. Okay. Well, Pete?
Just, so Lyle, I don't even know if I'm allowed to ask this. I guess Doug's still here, so maybe I shouldn't ask it, but I guess I'll ask it anyways. Lyle, if this were...
Doug's still here.
I thought Doug was in the pool. I keep hearing the water.
If this were a application for a variance, would you feel differently about it, Lyle?
If someone could show me the variance, yes.
Well, obviously, their variance must have been approved for them to build a house that far back anyways.
Is that not a special exception to build a home outside, like a portion of the home outside the building envelope is a special exception, right? Because we've had that on our agenda tonight, or am I incorrect about that?
It requires a variance to go outside the envelope.
You've got these cases where you have a portion of the house outside the building envelope and it's treated as a special exception, but if it was new construction,
okay.
brand new, it would have had to have a variance.
Okay.
So
So what you all are saying is there was a variance granted in the not so distant past for this property.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an existing house there that had, was already past building envelope. And so it was a existing setback, or if it was approved because of a variance, I guess that could be looked up, but either.
Pete, can I add a comment?
Sure.
Go right ahead.
It was Bruce Crabtree's house, and it did extend to that limit line.
Okay, so
When it got torn down.
it was probably outside the building envelope, but within existing setbacks then, which could be approved by the board.
Right.
So if that's the case, then it wasn't a variance that caused the approval of it outside the setback. So then the question is, would the board consider it a variance? And that's not a conversation to have tonight, I guess.
Well, as Lyle said, it doesn't qualify for a variance. Now, he doesn't think it does, and I don't know that it does. I don't know of any parts of the code that.
Well, they would have to come, yeah, they'd have to come back for the board and sell it as a variance, which they can't do tonight.
Exactly.
But even if they did, would it have an unusual shape, size, or topographic feature? That's the question.
Yeah. Their job to sell it.
Yep.
I'm trying.
If you're opening it back up to being sold, my conversation with Lyle and with Gavin was that there was precedent for this just recently,
Who's speaking now?
I'm sorry, it's Buddy Ortel. But I mean, if you're asking us to sell it, my conversation with Lyle when I spoke with him about it was there was precedent for this where they allowed a pool outside of the building envelope, but to the existing current build. So that's why we thought that this was sort of, on sides.
Well, Pete, go right ahead. I don't know.
You want me to respond to that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if the lot qualifies as a variance, in other words, if you ask for a variance, which you didn't, which means you would have to come back for the board to ask for it. And if the board determines that the lot qualifies for a variance, then the board has authority to approve a pool outside the setbacks. But if it's not applied, if a variance is not applied for, then the board does not have the authority to approve a swimming pool outside the setbacks. And in order for them to consider it, you have to apply for variance and notice the lot as a variance in your application so the public's aware of it. So, our hands are tied right now, and because you asked for a special exception or a conditional use and not a variance. So there's nothing we can do at this point. The question is, if you come back before the board, will the board say this lot qualifies for a variance? If they agree to that, which sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, based on whether it meets the criteria, then the board, could approve a pool if they believe the lot qualifies for a variance. That was a whole lot of words. Did that make sense to you, buddy?
Yeah. I mean, it does. I mean, frankly, we just did what we thought we were told to do. And, when Lyle said that staff didn't approve on the get-go, my jaw dropped because, he told me that, he was going to remind you guys that there was precedent here. So I'm flummoxed a little bit, and I guess this has reminded me why I didn't want to go in front of the board ever again. So
I think let's give Lyle a chance. Lyle, what were you? Which home were you referring to?
We had a home several months ago that in the rear was U-shaped. We had wings on the right and on the left, and they wanted a pool in the middle of that U-shape, but the 60 was the home was over that 60-foot setback. They were wanting a pool in the middle of that U, and the board granted them permission to go outside the building envelope to the existing setback of the house, which set precedent.
But that application was for a variance. I know the house on Georgian Place or Herbert.
No, it wasn't Georgian Place.
Was it a
was
variance
like-
or do we remember if it was a variance or a conditional use?
There's a variance for conditional use.
I don't believe it was a variance because, I mean, a variance is an unusual shaped lot. Challenge something
I
of
feel like
that.
that was the Forsyth house. Was it the one with the fountain that exists? There was a fountain there, and then they wanted to go in between that.
I think that could be it, yes.
That's the okay. I feel like I remember that application, and I know exactly what he's talking about.
We did not approve a swimming pool outside the building envelope out there in the variance. It was in the last 6 to 10 months. The first one we had like that, I think Gavin was the applicant, who was representing. But I think what Pete says is correct. It's going to require a variance. The conditional use anyway, Chris, to answer your question, whether it's inside or outside, it's treated as a conditional use because of criteria about whether the pool, affects the neighbors and screening and all that sort of stuff. But it can't be built outside the building envelope without a variance.
Well,
I mean,
let's go back- just go right ahead, Haley.
I was just going to say, I certainly know we have voted dozens of times on additions, not further encroaching outside of the setbacks that have already been violated. I do not remember a pool being that way, but of course, I think I know. I remember what Lyle was talking about with the U, and it was going within these two wings. It was like the
Yes.
whole house was. I remember that. I mean, I don't
Section
think
on,
this is
section on addition, the section on additions allows you to grant a special exception if it doesn't aggravate the
right.
non-conformity, but this specific provision about swimming pools.
Mm-hmm.
Zoning ordinance is idiotic. So we need to figure that out, but they can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to have to either give the gentleman the 60-day continuance, or you do whatever you want to do. But,
Well, right now we're
Go ahead and put
limited.
theirs in.
Right. Go right ahead, Chris.
I think that was Doug.
I'm still here, but I'm free.
I thought somebody was going to say something. I was going to say that we're limited to what's before us now. And we either file a motion and somebody makes a motion based upon what we have, or if somebody wants to defer it for some reason, that's an option.
Joe, is it okay if I ask a question?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Is it best for us to defer and check into the variance portion of that at this point, or?
Well, I think we've pretty much told you that we're limited in terms of what you applied for based on the ordinance. We can't approve it outside the building. We're not supposed to approve it outside the building envelope. I'm not saying we can't. We're not supposed to. How's that?
And I'll just add to that, what our legal counsel has shared with us is that we have no ability to tell you whether or not you may apply for a variance. It is on you to prove to us why you may or may not need it. Doug, am I saying that correctly?
Yes. The applicant has the burden to establish that they meet the criteria. So that's true.
And those are listed in the ordinance. So if you're able to provide all of those.
Do we ask for a deferral then? Is that correct? Or
It's a
If you want a deferral, then we certainly would consider it.
Is a deferral the same item on the agenda though, or would it be a
That's my question.
resubmission? That's what Doug, I think it's a resubmission, correct, as a variance, if they want to try and prove a hardship. I mean, I guess.
Well,
Just ask for a deferral. Just ask for a deferral.
Yeah.
For a motion? You want a motion, Joe?
Yes, please.
I make a motion for a 60-day, up to a 60-day deferral.
Is there a second?
Second.
Chris, second. Roll. Any other discussion? If not, have a vote, please.
Aye.
Pete, aye. Chris?
Aye.
Haley?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We're way past happy hour time. I'll make a motion to extend happy hour.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Good agenda. I mean, good discussion, healthy, helpful, hopefully, to everybody. And it's always a learning process. Haley,
Mr.
you have a-
Chairman, I'll move to adjourn.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, guys. Later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.
Hasta luego.